Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. Before we get started, of course, make sure you check out homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com. Check out our traveling schedule for 2025. We have a total of 14 states we will be visiting this year. So make sure you see if we're coming to a city near you. And remember, homeschooling was never meant to be done alone. It takes a village. So major shout out to a couple of our sponsors that are mission to ensure that you find your tribe. Classical Conversations is a national curriculum provider. Check them out. Also, Basecamp Ed is an amazing free app that encourages community building. So make sure you check them out also. And today we have with us Bernita. Bernita, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Bernita Bradley. I am a mom of two, um, Victoria and Carlos, two grown children, and grandmother of three, and literally just love the fact of connecting with community and engaging with community, like you said, to find that village. My actual business is called The Village, um, and homeschool co-op is called Engage Detroit. And so here I'm happy to be here today. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
No worries. Let's get to it because you kind of downplaying, your that voice that you got that I got it. I was privileged to hear in person,
Oh,
because you are a big advocate for parents, leading, parents being
yeah.
the leader of their children's education. Did you homeschool?
Yes, so my daughter asked me to homeschool her in fifth grade,
What?
and I was like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. Like, we're not, no. Like many people, I had all these misconceptions about homeschool. I had seen homeschooling with a couple of my family members growing up, as well as one of our neighbors whose children I babysat. Um, what I realize now is they had just weird situations going on. And right, and that didn't make the cumulation of all homeschoolers.
Yeah.
The my cousins who were homeschooled, they were always the children who were never allowed to go anywhere. They lived in a very, very strict household, like um yeah, I was about to say something, but that might seem offensive. But they were the children that everybody on the block was like, "Are y'all okay? Like, y'all
Mhm.
good?" And I considered it was the homeschool aspect, right? But now that I know that I'm older, there was some abuse situations going on there, and that was
Mhm.
why, right? But then the neighbors next door, who I babysat, and I still can't tell you how I became to baby, like how they trusted me as a person, as a young person, to babysit their daughters. But they were very, very isolated, very isolated.
Mhm.
Granted, they were an immigrant family and not from
Okay.
not from Highland Park where I was raised and all this kind of stuff. So now I just realized that was more so their thing. They did not trust our systems to educate their children. And their children, both households, the children were brilliant. When I say they
Mhm.
were brilliant. Um, and um, when my daughter asked me, I was like, "Nah, we're not doing this." I just like had like a back, you know, thought of everything I had thought of. And then the conversations that you hear, right? Like you hear these negative conversations about, oh, those children aren't well rounded, and oh my God, homeschool children, they don't have social skills. And like, all of these things were in my mind. Mind you, I'm an advocate at this time for school choice, right? And
Mhm.
I'm doing all this work about parents know your child's school and understand how to pick a school and understand what's going on. But at the same time, all these things are going on with my daughter in school that was just egregious. It was really like no child should have to go through this. No child should be bullied by a teacher. No child
Mhm.
should be bullied because she told that you were picking with other children in the classroom, right? Um, no child should be bullied by peers. No child should be in a school where they feel totally unsafe because every time you turn around, like there's major fights and there's adults slinging children and my daughter's seeing all of this and she
And
was
this is in elementary.
fifth grade. When I
Because
say
wait
right,
a minute.
fifth grade. I'm not talking about up in the older years. I'm talking about even before she asked.
That is
And
wild. Mm.
and it became a thing where her first incident with being bullied was in second grade by a
Oh
teacher.
man.
By a teacher. She
Mm.
she went to the assistant principal and told the assistant principal that the teacher was calling the students her East Side ghetto babies. This was literally right. And I'll never forget the assistant principal walking up to me and saying, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. Because Victoria was in my office then. I'm looking at Victoria like, what did you do? What were you doing? Right? Like I gave the mom death stare. Like, you better not have done something. And she was like, no, no, no. Victoria, actually, I'm like proud of her. I'm really proud of her. Well, this second grader, who, like I said, should have been homeschooled because she acts just like homeschool children. She's like really has always been very mature, but she looked at me and, well, she said she was coming through the lunchroom and she walked up to the assistant principal and said, can I talk to you? And the assistant principal said, yes. She says, well, my teacher keeps calling people bad names and it makes me feel bad and it makes the other children feel bad. And the principal's like, what do you mean? Let's talk. I had a whole conversation, pulled the teacher in. The teacher said, well, I thought this was a term of endearment. And my daughter was
What
like,
base babies? When has babies ever been?
when has ghetto?
What?
Yo, East Side ghetto, baby key,
Babies. Yeah.
right? And so my daughter was just really like taken aback by the fact that this was a teacher that she liked, but
Wow.
she would select and choose the different children that she liked. And she just wanted it to stop. She just wanted to stop. And when the teacher told me she thought it was a term of endearment, I said, well, there's no term of endearment that we use in my household that correlates to ghetto babies or any of that, right? Well, shortly after, she was joking with my daughter and called her wide load.
Girl, what in the world? How long has this teacher been teaching? She
When
was
I
probably
say
a
this was
veteran
a
teacher.
this was a seasoned, very veteran,
Yes, I
very
already
veteran,
knew it because she too
very veteran,
comfortable. Way
right?
too comfortable.
You got your you ain't 10-year in, you 20-year
What?
in, right?
What?
30-year in. And um there was no way to fire her. Like there was no way to get this resolved.
Mm.
And I already had my concerns about the school, right? And I just was like, yeah, I pulled the teacher to the side. So in the hallway, I went to her office and I pulled her to the side. And mind you, I worked at the school. Mind you, I was
Girl, hush.
I was a AmeriCorps member at the school. Like, so I'm the person that they didn't ask to be the mama at the building. Basically, me and this guy named Mr. Hayes, both of us used to be at the building like for all parent engagement issues.
What?
And so I done tapped the lady. I'm like, hey, Miss Turner, can I talk to you? I said, you know, I don't understand what your problem is. Let me backtrack. Let me backtrack. Not when she called my daughter. When she called my daughter that name, we had another meeting.
Mm.
After that, she started writing my daughter up. I promise you, if Victoria sneezed in the class 3 times, she was like, well, I think that Victoria's being disruptive. She kept
Oh my
sneezing.
goodness.
I promise you, I got an email literally about my daughter sneezing. If she had to go to the bathroom, now she couldn't go to the bathroom like she did before. All of the things that teachers do when they're mad,
Hmm.
bad teachers, I should say, when they're mad at children.
Hmm.
And I pulled her to the side. I said, look, don't send me no another email about my daughter. I said, I don't want not one more email. I told her, I said, look, we tell our children all day long that if somebody harms you, they are supposed to tell. I said, just like if a janitor pulled a kid in a closet and did something to him, they're supposed to tell. My daughter came and told on you because you were doing harm to them. And now you're gonna make it punitive to her? If you don't want to teach, get out the classroom. I don't
Please.
want my daughter in your classroom no more, and you will not harm her anymore. The lady looked at me, and at first she was trying to get offensive, but then when I put the analogy together of like we have predators everywhere. And in that moment, you were low key being a predator to our children. You were harming our children. And my daughter and her friends did not like it. They were
Mhm.
talking about it over the lunch table, second graders.
Second grade. I know, and that's what I'm still daunting on. Like the fact that these are second graders,
Second, right.
aware that, yo, no, she can't be talking to us like this.
And so after the end, she stopped, and they had a student. I can't remember what Miss Hemmerhawk was, but whatever she did at the building, she would often sit in the class, let Victoria come sit in that class with her, as opposed because they would not change her classroom.
Mm.
And it was like really disturbing, but at the same time, I did not know what else to do. I'm advocating as a mom, at the building to make sure things are right for
And
children,
you're
children are
there.
safe, right? And I'm there. And in fifth grade, I just literally like kind of denied my daughter homeschooling. But and I said along, you asked me one question, I done told you a whole lot. Uh,
You are fine.
um, but then during the pandemic, she was in 11th grade, right? And mind you, I've done everything from traditional public school
Mhm.
to paying for schooling to busing my children to charter schools. And mind you, some of the top charter schools in the city.
Mm.
Um, like I done figured out how to manipulate the system to know that when a school say they don't have an opening, you go to week account day. I bet you they got
Mm.
an opening, right? Like I'm doing all of this kind of stuff to get my daughter in the better schools. And then in 11th grade, she was in a pandemic and they had no interactions with teachers. My daughter and her friends were on a class like about 3 times a week. I'm thinking that they are on a class with a teacher. It's a class that the students at the building decided to create because they
Oh.
had no teachers getting on with them. The teachers had a Google Meetup that stayed open. I guess it was theirs or whatever. The children was like, we gonna do this ourselves because we keep getting these
Mm.
huge packets and we don't know what to do. And Miss So and So keep telling us to come during her office hours. Well, she got 1 hour a day for all of us children, and none of us able to get in. So they literally started doing it themselves. And when I found that out, I was like, that's ridiculous. And she told me, yeah, so next semester, if it's like this, I'm dropping out of school and get my GED. And I told her, no, you're not. And she said, yes, I am. She said, I got a whole plan. She said, I'm getting a GED. I'm moving to Atlanta where family is. I've talked to such and such in Atlanta. They said I can come stay with them for 2 years and go to community college down there. And she had literally a whole plan. It wasn't just like a dropout. She was like, yeah, I'm getting my education, but not with this foolishness. I said, well, no, you're not. You're not about to get a GED. It would be a difference if you were a student who needed to get that. Like I'm not dissing GEDs. I'm saying if that's what you she said, I said, what else would you want to do? She said, homeschool me. I've been asked you to homeschool me.
Oh.
And I said, okay. And here I am now, leader of a homeschool co-op, where that year we piloted a homeschool process because I still did not fully know what I was doing, all the advocacy I've done. But we piloted homeschooling with 12 families um, and received some funding just a little bit of funding and paid for coaches to support families. At first we was doing it for free too on like Facebook and Zoom. We were on with families who were saying they was ready to tap out. What does it look like to homeschool, to understand their policies, their rights, blah, 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 blah. And just kind of us to get out our own way, like our own heads, because that was the biggest struggle. It's not to me that parents don't know what to do. It's just um when we hear it, we just clam up and we think of schooling as that traditional 7:45 to 3:30 day, when that's the furthest thing from the truth with homeschooling. Yeah, but
Indeed.
yep.
Indeed. Okay, so that's the journey to it. And baby girl was like in fifth grade. That's big. I've had a lot of conversation with different parents. It was like, yeah, no, my child asked me to homeschool, and they be like, and I said no.
Yep.
Like, no, no, we're not gonna do that. So
No,
your son is younger than her.
no, my son is 32.
Oh,
So
okay, so he's older, so he didn't get in it. He
yeah,
went to public school also.
I have a 10-year a decade gap between them.
Oh wow,
And
yeah.
even with him though, I caught so in first grade, a teacher called him, no, excuse me, kindergarten, a teacher called him dumb.
Hmm.
Raised saying. Now, and here you go. You would think in our world, you would think a lot of these teachers are, oh, these have to be racist like white teachers. No, the tenured teacher that had been there forever, she's black older lady, right?
I know when you said the name that she was the East Side ghetto baby.
Oh, baby,
I
right?
knew that already.
But then this other lady with my son in kindergarten, she was a young white teacher, and she
Mm,
swore up and down he didn't understand what she was saying. She tapped him on the head and said, "Duck,"
wow.
and he was
He
like,
turned it into Duck Duck Goose.
was
So
like, no, she called me dumb because I wasn't reading the words the way she wanted me to, and popped me on the head and called me dumb. And
what?
so, can you imagine a mom who's like going through everything in the world to try to make sure her children are safe, and you hear this about your kindergarten son? And my first impulse was now what if I tap you on the head? What if I pop you on the head, right? Like what if how would you think that feel for you as a but now I'm this black mom in your classroom who's being aggressive to you, right? So each time I'm trying to handle this in a certain manner because I don't want to come across as that because I need you not to ever educate another child again.
Mhm,
This is the way, not in my community, not in my community, right? But each time it was never a teacher got fired.
mhm,
Um, and I paid for his schooling, which was better. Only reason why that schooling stopped being paid for was because I couldn't afford it anymore. And the school's tuition was going up real high because they were transitioning to a new building and blah blah blah. Um, and so I ended up having to take him to a charter school. That charter school was nice for a while. Had a teacher in public school tell me, yeah, you probably don't want your son in this system.
mhm,
He told me you're too engaged of a parent. And people would call people like this helicopter parents, right? But when parents are actively engaged in buildings and spaces, I'm not a helicopter parent. I'm a parent who cares. A
yeah,
helicopter parent or a parent, I don't really think I know that there's some parents who are really more over enthused by their child's work and might help the child do the work or might help do the science project, but we've all been there. Don't play the
mhm.
game. Your child come home and they got to make a brain. The brain is looking like a slop of poop. You going to help structure that brain. That's
Exactly.
not
Like, girl, you ain't taking out the school
right.
looking like that.
Right. That's not a helicopter mom, right? That's not a helicopter dad. That's a concerned parent. But then when we're parents in there addressing the concerns of the adults in the space, now we're the problem, you know. And so I was seen as an issue to a couple of teachers. Um, End up moving out of the city. My ex-husband, we moved to Dearborn. He worked in Dearborn, so I was like, perfect opportunity, better schooling, this and that. That wasn't better.
Mm,
Moved to Warren. Warren was okay. We had these transition years where it might be 2, 3 years was fine, then something. He got in high school, played every sport you could think of, from wrestling to track, everything you could think of. Only thing he didn't play is basketball. Um, and came to the building after the like in Octoberish. Got his progress report. My son had a 1.19. I said My son is at this building from mind you, they had tutoring set up, all this kind of stuff. They were promising us that the coaches were making sure the young boys got tutored, that they were like had hours they were supposed to test and blah, like everything, right? And they were like, "Oh, we're so sorry. Well, some of the students do fall between the cracks for us and blah blah blah. Please don't take them out of the sports." I said, academically, you're not even supposed to allow him to keep playing.
Yeah, I thought a 2.0 was required.
Point one, right? Like you are literally not supposed to let him keep playing. I am not let. I told my son, you would not be a athletic dummy running across the field. Forgive me, I shouldn't have said dummy, but I said you won't be that. Not for these people, because that's what they want you to be. And so um ended up putting him in another school. That school, and I made them hold him back. I made them hold him back because I tried it like a little bit longer at that school. But when I seen how far he was behind, I put him in the next school and I asked them to keep him back and put him back in his former grade. Just so he can, because if I kept him there, he was gonna keep failing. If I just kept him in the grade. He was mad at me, but graduated, right? Graduated. And it's just the to move forward, and now I have this other child that was born and see the same things. I was like, this is garbage. Like, this is really garbage. So I really wish I had a homeschool both of my children. Like, if I knew what I knew now,
Of course.
you know.
Yes, but you use those experiences to shape what you do now.
Yeah, really, really, and really to drive into parents the understanding that they're doing no harm to their children by figuring it out. They're actually doing less harm, excuse me, than a system that is intentionally breaking children. In Detroit, our reading level, it was in 2022, I think the reading level was something like 16%. No, excuse me. In 2020, I think it was 16% of our children. I got it mixed up with homeschool family census. It was almost 13% of our children were reading on grade level by third grade. And that's Detroit proper. That's not like one school, that's Detroit proper. They estimated that in 2022, those numbers had gone down due to the pandemic. But that means that over 80% of our children were failing in reading by third grade, like did not know how to read. The graduation rates of students that are reading proficient is so low. It's like as a parent, I can't do no more harm. Like
Right? Right.
how much more harm can I do to my child when they're in a system that's making sure that they're not getting kids ready.
Yeah.
Um, and then the number one thing they tell parents is give us time, give us time, Oh, we're trying a new program now. Give us time. Well, we have proof that that time don't work because if 10 years have passed and you haven't progressed, or right now, if we've had from 2020 where the schools got way more money, right? Way more money than they've ever seen, and growth and proficiency rates still are garbage. Yeah. Well, how much time do I have?
Exactly. And that's what that I just talked to Reverend Janelle. I just got recorded with her a couple of days ago.
Mhm.
And we were talking about the time, that 13 years. And I always want to like have people hear that out loud. This is 13 years that you're giving your child to a system that is not doing anything productive with that 13 years. Like, not only is your child going to come through, or I'm not going to speak on all children, of course, because
Mhm.
like you said, like we got the 13% that have reached grade level.
Yep.
So it works for some.
Yeah.
However, the majority are definitely not being pushed to be their best selves in no
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. And I talk about it's a national literacy crisis. Detroit ain't the only one.
National
It's
crisis.
a national literacy crisis, and the public school system is graduating functioning illiterate children or
And let
young
me be
adults at
clear.
that point.
let me be clear that those statistics are not indicative of what our children can do. Those
You better say
statistics
it.
are indicative of what a system has failed to do for our
Mm,
children. And it is not indicative to what parents are not doing.
yes.
Because if most of the schools don't even want parent engagement, they want to send home a packet and they want to tell you your child should have learned A, B, C, D, E, F, G by third grade, by fourth grade, or by the fourth quarter of the semester. They should have known, and there's no interaction. Even parent teachers conferences narrowed down to 5 minutes now.
Mm,
Like, and that's a 5 minute slot for you to sit down, learn everything your child has done within the last 2 months, and
right.
then within that 5 minutes, I need to be hustling you out the room for the next parent to sit down for the next 5 minutes. And so I have no time to actually prepare with you to say, what can I do? What can I do to help this situation be better?
Yes, partnership.
Like, right, where's the partnership at? And don't get me wrong, there's teachers who want to partner. There are teachers, there's so many teachers. That's why it's a lot of educators missing, because a lot of educators are like, I did not get in this
For
to do this
this.
to children.
Yes.
This is not what I thought this was going to be. I don't want to be the one yelling at children all day. Why are you yelling at children all day? Because schools have failed to engage children. When you see homeschool children, people think that we're at home. Like I told you, my daughter, I thought I was gonna be at home fussing with her every day. I was like, no, I'm not, we know we're not about to do that.
Mhm,
When children love learning, there is no fussing.
mhm.
When children love engaging, don't get me wrong, you might have a moment. I see parents right now who are like, girl, I tried to get him to do this program and I tried to get him to do this lesson and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And he flipped it and did it the way he wanted. And I'm telling him, no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. And this and that. And he ended up doing it this way, but he still got the right answer. And this, I'm like, so what you
What's
complaining
the
about?
problem? Yeah. So what's the
So
problem?
where we at here, right? Like, and I'm like that, but that was me. That was me when I first started homeschooling because I wanted that. I wanted it to feel as much as possible like school. I just wanted to do a better job, and I wanted to know that my daughter was safe and cared for. And so I was utilizing curriculum like timing. I got her on a timer. 45 minutes for a classroom in school. I need you to do this in 45 minutes, right?
Mm.
And I remember me and my daughter having a conversation about chemistry. So I had taken her old transcript that she had, and I was like, okay, so these are the classes that were kind of left off because you didn't have a teacher. So let's start here, blah, blah, blah. So you need to take chemistry, you need to blah. And she was like, Ma, I don't want to take chemistry. I said, well, you gonna take chemistry. She said, well, I don't want to take it and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So every time I made her sit in the dining room and do chemistry, she was, oh my gosh, she was just like in there huffing and puffing and this and that. And I told her, I said, guess what? We were supposed to be going to California. We not going to California. I done canceled the trip until you finish that chemistry class. I'm all proud, mama moment. I'm punishing her. Right. I'm like, got my, now I'm sending her to my own principal's office. Right. And, and matter of fact, don't turn on that phone. Don't, right. And so I talked to my coach because at Engage Detroit, we have coaches for the families, right? So I talked to my coach, Keisha. I'm like, yeah, Victoria didn't want to do her chemistry and I blah, 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 blah. And Keisha was real quiet. And she was like, well, how school of you? How? She was like, what do you think that's going to solve? And I was like, yeah, but she went in there and did that chemistry work and this and that. And she was like, but don't you see how punitive you were to her? You doing to her the same thing that schools do to kids. You just kill her. She said, did you ever think to ask her what she would have wanted to do? And I said, like, oh, no, I didn't. Like, but you supposed to be on my side? You my coach? Right, right, right. I'm in my feelings now. But at the same time, this is that paradigm shift in the mind, right? Because now I'm learning to move from the harm that the traditional schools have done to actually having my daughter loving learning. And so She said, "What I'm gonna challenge you to go talk to Victoria, find out what, because you didn't cancel the whole family vacation because the child,
Whole family vacation.
because she won't do chemistry,
Chemistry.
right?" And so I went back to her afterwards, all humbled up, like, "Hey, Victoria." I'm like, okay, so I know I was a little harsh earlier, and so what would you want to do other than chemistry? Because you can do chemistry later or blah, blah, blah. She said forensic science.
Mm,
How you skip over chemistry to forensic science?
right.
It's like, this is really what I want to do, forensic science, because I told you I want to be a forensic scientist when I get older and blah, blah, blah. And when I say the conversation opened up,
Aw.
and we were talking and then we looking up forensic science. We found a science class on OutSchool and and I'm sitting here like watching her glow, talking about forensic science. When I say talking about chem and all everything in me is like, you do know that's chemistry though. Like you do know forensic science
Right.
correlates with, but that's she needed to do forensic science. And she did it and passed that class with flying colors, and I'm watching her like every other week come to me like, "Ma, so do you know in a murder scene this and that has to be done and blah blah blah, and this is how they collect data and this is why you blah blah." And I'm watching her thrive in her flow, and that's what homeschool looked like, right? To us, when I stepped back some and I created with my child and I let her lead learning, because after all, we supposed to be again that partner in
Yes.
the child's education, not just a
Yes.
partner with a teacher, but a partner with our child, you know? So yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, no, I think a lot of parents like get caught up in the notion of, okay, this is what we gonna do. Well, this is what we gonna do. And
And
now
this is
I
what we
know,
ain't gonna do.
right? I know talking to parents, especially when I have a parent come to me and they have teenagers and they say, "Oh, well, I'm about to take them out of school." And the first thing I said, "Do they know? Have you talked to
But
them about it?
would you
Have you
say
talked to
it?
them?" Yeah, because like, yo, you better get
I'm
them on
like, but
board
do they
first,
know this? Because you know they
right?
got boyfriends and girlfriends, they got glee clubs and all this kind of, you about to
Yes.
remove them from everything. Have you had this conversation with them?
Yes, yes, because developing that partnership early on is really, really important because you want them to feel valued because they're
Yeah.
coming from a system where they're not valued. So
Yeah.
you want them to feel valued in what you're asking them to do. How long did it take you to do school, like, and get on board with the, all right, this is our program. We can do what we want to do.
So I feel like I feel a little bit privileged more than some families, right? Because it was during the pandemic. So we were unschooled,
Mhm.
period. We were disconnected. So it was forced on us. And it was forced on some of the families that started with us. But I'll speak to the fact of some of the families that have joined us over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. A lot of those families literally have taken, once they join our network, we offer coaching, and that coaching really, like I said, is to help us shift our minds, help us understand what state policies are around homeschooling, how you connect the curriculum, how you understand that each one of the children in your household may be different, blah, blah, blah. And they take them on a journey, like an individualized journey. And and that journey looks like any NA meeting or any AA meeting, like, okay, here's the problems, here's these, not this thing that that I'm a bad person or what I want to do is a bad thing. Is how do I do it constructively and be successful at it? And I've watched families go from literally come in like wide eyed, looking at me like walking through the hall, shaking their head, like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna do this one. Like we fighting today, to parents literally leading classes at our building. Okay. So we have um coaching, then we elevate parents to become parent facilitators. And those parent facilitators generally will have ideas of programs that's helping their children or that they've implemented themselves. Um, somewhere else. Like one mom, she was doing financial literacy somewhere else. So now she does financial literacy for us, right? One mom is a Spanish teacher. Uh, she knows Spanish. She teaches her children Spanish. So now she comes in and she's teaching our children Spanish. Matter of fact, it's today. She has 3 classes, different age groups, right? And so that mom came in and kind of watched for a while and got was like, okay, so I see a need, so let me fill a need, right? So
Mhm.
I've watched parents move from being the novice or scared homeschool parent to actually just walking in the building. Because I'm not leading no classes. Let's be clear. I'm not in Engage Detroit, like setting up a schedule like, oh, you have to do this on Thursdays, you have to do this on. No, no, the parents, we teach our parents, the parents are the ones who lead stuff here. And it's a
Nice.
lot of families that come in and they're confused because they're like, oh, I can lead something here.
Right.
Oh, okay. So I like sewing. I like knitting. They put in our group chat, any students interested in learning how to knit or learning how to sew? Parent, of course, my daughter asked for sewing class and blah blah. Okay, so now
Mhm.
we got parents sitting up in here with a ton of yarn and tooling and all this kind of stuff, right? All the way to we've had mechanics come in and show us how to do basic oil changes. Like one day we gonna be driving around like what it look like to do an oil change on your car. What does it look like to change a flat? Because we might need to know how to do that. Um,
Indeed.
we do farming, cooking classes, and these are all ran by parents. Um, and each year we grow in some areas. So, like I said, we started out with 12 families as a pilot in 2020. Now, on the record, we have 175 families
Ooh.
and over 400 children. Um,
Mm.
and fully participating on any given about 100 and something, right? Children participating fully all the time. Because the reality is there's different types of homeschooling. We have families that travel in homeschool. We have families that were like, I just needed the network. I just needed to some of the resources because parents are, oh my God, the resources in our chat is like, how did you find that? Okay, how was it for you? You know, what was the experience? Everything from swim classes to fellowships um, to internship, all kind of stuff for young people. Okay, college classes, all this kind of stuff that is being shared. And some of the families just want that, you know. And we have some families who are part of co-ops, other places. And one of the things, like most cities, the families found was that when they started homeschooling, they had more white co-ops than black co-ops or interracial co-ops, right? Or um and intergenerational co-ops because we have seniors who have children there. I mean, who have their grandchildren as well as young people. And so a lot of them were like, yeah, I've been a part of this co-op, but kind of me and my children, like we needed some place that felt like we were around our own people. And so they may still partially be a part of those co-ops because they still want the diversity, but then they wanted to be a part of some place that they felt more home with too. So yeah, so I don't even know if I answered your question. My brain be
You
working.
have.
My brain be working. It's okay.
Yes, no, and I love it. I love it because you are doing some amazing things, and I love that you jumped into this with just having been really active in the homeschool community for the 2 years, that your daughter was active, but then you kept going with it. So I love. So Engage Detroit is the co-op or Engage Detroit? Okay, because you listed two things.
So the village is my business. That's the business that I have been working. So I largely do recruiting, education advocacy, organizing, on the side. Been doing that for years,
Mm-hmm.
for years, right? If there's a Teach for America summer camp and they're recruiting families and they're struggling to recruit those families. I'm the one who go out and recruit families, and I'll learn about their program. I'll kind of entrench myself in some of the design of the program to let
Mhm.
them know like this right here might not work for families. And here, let me bring some families to you. So we do everything from focus groups to design sessions with families, and those sessions might be the very families you want to impact coming talking to you about your program and saying, yeah, we this is not good for us, so we're pretty sure it won't be good for the larger public. Or
Mhm.
even engaging some of the families who have already been in their program to say what some lessons learned, what was some positive things, takeaways, but then what some lessons learned. So the next year when you host this program, it'll be good, right? So I'll facilitate that process. And then the other thing is I've helped a couple of organizations here actually even become a org, like startup from the thought, just it was a thought in somebody's mind to engaging families to implementing the program to now they're like their own separate entity somewhere. Um, and I really enjoy doing that because it's always my goal is to never do this from a perspective of you just the organization that communities need. Because if communities don't need you, you're gonna fail,
Mhm.
you know. And so, and helping those organizations understand that they need to keep parents and community at the front of all their missions and values, and keeping them on the journey, because that's the only way your program is going to be successful.
Indeed. So
But
the
the
village works with organizations. Okay.
organizations, companies, businesses, one of the prime examples is we have a thing called Goal Line here.
Mhm.
Goal Line is an after school program, out of school time programming that brings children from different schools to a major rec center in our area, and they offer everything from STEM to literacy to um, just helping build children's, or helping connect children to supports that's no longer in the schools, because a
Mhm.
lot of our schools don't have that no more. They don't have like the tutoring, all that kind of stuff. So it's free for families. So I help them from everything, like I said, to organizing families, to signing families up, getting children on those buses that they were taking to get to and from, and blah blah blah, and implementing throughout the couple of years that we worked for them. Our team, I trained community members to ride buses with those children to get to the program, because it was a weird bus loop and we were afraid children would get lost. Long story short, some children were getting lost and things, but
Wow.
our teams being, our parents being there helped the system work better. And they're
Mhm.
still in existence right now, in existence right now. Um, so yeah, that's what I do with the village. It's kind of a weird job because people in my family are always like, I'm like Tommy from Martin, like, you ain't got no
You
job.
ain't got no
You ain't got
job.
no job. What do you do? They're like, what all we see you doing is traveling. I'm like, no, I be working. I be working. I'm like, I be working. I mean, you done seen us. We done been together, right? Like in
Yes,
every song.
ma'am.
We wasn't
Yes,
out there
ma'am.
like, girl, pass me the tea and crumpets. We was out there like, no, you gonna get your children together. And
Yes.
it's right. We not out there just chilling. Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, one of my dreams though, I really wanna like push focus on you for a second. One of my dreams was really to get me an RV and travel to do this work. When I
Yes.
heard about you, I was like, no, the heck no. Just
Come on. And I come on. I want you to look, we can ride
let me tell
together.
you,
We can
I'm
ride
getting,
together.
I am still getting, because just like it's a McDonald's and a Burger King, baby, it's room for
Yes,
all of us on
ma'am.
these roads.
Yes, ma'am.
And what inspired it, I did a documentary with a program called Road Trip Nation, where I rode
Mm.
an RV from California to DC.
Oh my goodness, how was that?
Baby, when I say I rode through the Appalachian Mountains, a 32, a 36 footer, 32, what,
36. Ooh. Ooh.
baby? I was on the mountains like if I die today, Lord help me. And you know how when you in some community, they know where they going. They flying. I'm on that RV like, oh my God, did we are the tires on the it's just so small. But yeah, I did it. We did it for a whole month. And
Oh,
that was such a
wow.
I was with a horse farmer and and a vet. And we
Mm.
explored and interviewed people across the country. And
I love
yeah.
that.
Yep. So after that, I was like, yeah, I'm getting me an RV. That was in 2018. And so I said, I'm getting me an RV and I'm going to do this work across the country and like just go visit people and see. I don't want to do what you're doing. You hosting expos. I commend you, baby. That's a lot of work. But I just want to interview people like you, right? Like know and introduce other parents. Like get a parent to jump on an RV with me. Come on, let's go for 3 days. Let's go to Arizona.
Oh,
You
yes.
know. Yeah, but yeah. So this is me. I don't know. I be y'all forgive me out there in the podcast world because I be my brain be working in circles sometimes. Y'all
No,
forgive
I
me.
feel like you've given a lot. You have given a lot. I'm really intrigued by Engage Detroit and the fact that you grew it to be as big as it is. And it's just, in one city. And that's really dope.
Yep.
Yes.
But I'll say this though. When you love what you do, things come, right?
Yes,
Because I
ma'am.
do know recruiting. I
Yes.
do not have an annual. I don't have an annual right now. I've had two places that have called me. They're doing expos or something, to schools, and they wanted us to come because they have more parents that are leaving. They want us to come and host a table, and I'm sitting up like, I don't want to host no table for y'all. Like I don't want to, and it's nothing against people who do. It's like I'm always like my time can be spent so much better in the building because we don't do any recruiting. There are just I want people to know that there are parents who are just naturally, organically leaving schools. This is not an Engaged Detroit or a Black Moms Forum or something like going out there telling parents, these schools treating you bad. Come be with me. No,
Right.
parents are organically leaving because they are tired of a broken system. And I can't even say a broken system. It's a system that was
Yeah.
doing what it was meant to do, right? And that's undereducate our children.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so yeah, we don't the growth has just been really more parents loving it and knowing
Mhm.
about it and sharing it with other parents as they meet families, or people will see or hear something like the podcast. And I can just about guarantee you after your podcast, I'm probably gonna get 20 calls or 20 once this airs, I'm gonna get 20 emails from people who are like, hey, I heard about you. Me and my children have been struggling. I've been contemplating. Can I just come learn to find out if I really want to do this?
Yes.
You know, and and a good thing about it also is that we don't force people to stay homeschooling because there's some parents who have said, um, yeah, I thought this was gonna be one thing and it's not really what I
Hmm.
expected. But can you show me how to advocate for what I need for my daughter or my child in school?
Yes.
And we'll do that. We'll do that. I talked to them about um, IEP supports, uh,
Hmm.
Office of Civil Rights complaints, all kind of stuff. I mean, anything that that parent needs to do to make sure that their child is safe in a space. We even help parents like select schools. What school would you
Hmm.
want to go to? Do you like think about the fact that this school is 20 miles from home? Do you have transportation? Are you going to be because the truancy laws are this,
Hmm.
and think about ask them about their IEP support. Do they have pull in or pull out? Because your child might need more care or your child might be okay with just a speech pathologist that comes in once a week.
Hmm.
What is it that you need? I've sat in meetings with parents in their school and people are always looking at me like, now who are you? Don't worry about who I am. Mama and daddy invited me. Don't worry about that.
Yes.
Well, if you're an attorney, we need to have our attorney. I'm not an attorney. Don't worry about it. We need a meeting.
Nervous, yes.
But why are you here? Don't worry about it. Michigan state law says that a parent and a child can have an advocate in the room at any given moment.
Mhm.
So quit trying to make intimidate or make this something that it can't be. Get on with the process. Let's do this IEP for this child for them to get their what
Yes.
they need, you know. So yeah.
So you are the support parents need. Big time. Big time. And I feel like we need Engage Detroit and like Engage Chicago, Engage Milwaukee, Engage,
We do.
Memphis.
We
I
do.
feel like once you get that RV and you get to,
Yeah.
traveling around and you go help these people set up these things because
Yeah.
I
And
I like
anybody who want to set up one now, right? Like you
yes.
don't even have to be an engaged Detroit. I've talked to plenty of people across the country who's like, look, I want to do what you're doing in my community.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you can come learn from us or we can have conversations. Do it because it's needed so many places. Like that
Yes.
village that you're talking about, that network is needed. And never underestimate that it's only a couple of y'all to start. It'll be two
Yes.
mamas and daddies today, but tomorrow, and I'm emphasizing daddies in everything because it's the misconception that only mamas homeschool.
Right.
No, it's daddies and grandpapas or and uncles or homeschooling too.
Yes.
Um, but it might just be a couple of y'all doing it. And tomorrow you'll find out, dang, it's 30 people who's been looking for this network. Who
Yes.
need it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you make it what it needs to be.
That's what I know. And that's what I always encourage. Like, hey, if you're not finding what you're looking for, baby, build it. Because please
Yeah,
believe there's others looking for the same thing that you're thinking on.
yeah.
So please step out and build it. And that's why I love that you're sharing what you're sharing. Because parents need to know, honey, you got that power too. Like you have, this
Mhm.
is an isolated power that we have. Like everyone has this power to stand in front of your children's education and be like, all right, this is what we need. This is what I feel like you're missing, or this is what you have told me and communicating that you're not getting from this system.
Mhm.
So let me go and advocate for it because your voice matters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And and most importantly, your children. People keep saying that the children are the future, right? And I'm always like, yeah, they're not the future. The children are the right now. They
Mm,
are the right now.
I like
What we
that.
do to impact them right now changes all of our futures.
Yes.
So quit thinking that we got time. That children are the future. You know,
Mhm.
I remember singing it as a little kid. I believe the children are the future.
Yes, Whitney,
You know,
girl, that's the first thing I think about. Yeah.
right? You know, like no, they're not the future
Mm,
because that alludes to that we have time. We don't
mm.
have time. You know, we don't
I
we don't.
like that you put that that way.
Mhm.
Because they are the right now. I was when talking to Reverend Janelle, talking about how people be like, oh, the real wait until they get in the real world, wait until they get in the real world. And I'm always like, well, where y'all think they at now? Like, why do you think they not?
They
Like, what
bubble,
world
they
are
bubble.
they in
They don't
now?
know nothing in the real world, right? No, no, they are in the real world. And
Yes.
this real world is impacting them on
Heavy.
at an aggressive level.
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
um they're trying to kill our kids' morale in kindergarten and they're trying to kill children's morale in early stages, right? And I'll say this. It does have a little bit to do with homeschooling, but in advocating for your children, if your children, if you take your children to a space and they come home different, it's kind of like how we tell them somebody came home from uncle or auntie's house and they was acting different. Like
Mm-hmm.
talk to them. What's up? What happened over there? If you see the difference that your child's light is being dimmed, take
Mm-hmm.
your children out. Take your children
Yes.
out of these spaces that seek to harm them because no child's light should be dimmed when it come down to education. No child, because education is supposed to be fun. Don't get me wrong, it ain't easy, right? It ain't easy. It ain't easy to the point where you just gonna walk in the room and you know you could write a thesis tomorrow, right? But it's supposed to be fun. And learning charges people. It broadens
Yes.
people horizons. It expands your willingness to learn more. And anytime education is not expanding, but it's making it children turn inward and feel like something's wrong with them, there's something wrong with that education that's happening. It's nothing wrong with your child. Your children are not broken. These systems
Mm-hmm.
are broken. These systems are flawed.
Mm. Yes, big message, big message. Because, I speak on the level of, I think identity and purpose is lost through the school system, especially for Black and Brown because of the history that they learn. And so they don't know themselves initially. Like 13 years, they're told misconstrued stories or just straight out lies about their identity. Continuously through their history lessons and literature that they take in also. And so I feel like identity and purpose is like faded out early, like
Mhm.
early. By the time they make it to middle school, it's like, okay, we just here and we're a number and we got to take these tests and we got to keep testing. And, if we do well, then we get this. If we don't do well, then the teacher's going to be
Mhm.
upset about this, like things like that. But it's not a focus on that individual child and how great they are and pouring into that individual child and making sure they know that they have a
Mhm.
purpose here. It's all just
Mhm.
drained.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I appreciate the spaces that are offering support for parents to continually advocate for their child and to teach your child how to advocate. Your child was advocating for themselves in second
Mhm.
grade, and I love that for her because she was
I
like,
don't know
"Hold
who this
up,
child is. She
hold
was
on, because
doing.
my mama don't talk to me like this.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let me holler at you right quick, principal."
She's always been that way. Her grandmother told me one time, this is a child, so parents appreciate those children that you think are weird.
Mm,
Um, she was the child who wore the mixed match boots, and in the wintertime, she had on a bathing suit over some leggings, over with a blue jean jacket on and some boots. In the summertime, she got on a winter coat and some rain boots and a tutu and
yes.
goggles. And I'm sitting up like, child, what are
And she
you
like, why
doing?
not? Well, why
Right.
not?
I'm cute. I'm cute. What do you mean? All of this was in my closet. You told me to find something to wear. You should have took it out of my closet for the summer, right? Uh, and her grandmother looked at me one day, and I just really wanted my daughter to be this like pink little baby that wear the pink, everything pink and stay clean, bows in her grandmother looked at me and said, baby, choose your battles.
Right.
And I was like, that mean get over it. That
Mm-hmm.
and ever since I've been like, yep, her room, I fuss at her, but her room literally looks like an art exhibit. She starts projects and there's projects everywhere. There's projects that are half done everywhere. There's projects that
Mm,
are fully done and she liked it for a while and then now she puts it up in her little cubby like she's like, yeah, I'm not doing lashes no more. Yeah, I'm not doing nails no more. Like, but we spent $500 on nail stuff. What are you doing, right? Like, or yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. But letting her learn and letting her thrive and just love what she do has helped her become this human that I wish I was at her age.
right.
Yeah.
What? I know the admiration is real. I told my 11-year-old, I said, I'm a fan of yours, girl. She said, what? I said, no, big fan
Big
right here.
fan, big
Yeah,
fan.
big fan.
Like those questions, people be like, what would you tell your 15-year-old self if you were
Right.
be like Victoria? That's what I would tell myself. I would be like your daughter
Yes.
because she's brave. She's braver than any 21-year-old I've ever seen,
Nice.
And yeah, but yeah, we live and we learn. We
Right.
have an opportunity to help other people who have young children. Like you said, now, we experience the stuff. And so now, like you've experienced things. So now you're traveling to help other people have better experiences.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you for all that you're doing. How does Miss Bernita self-care with all that you're doing, with
Ooh,
all of the
ah,
advocating that you're doing, and
ooh,
yeah, how we
um,
making sure we replenish and rejuvenate it?
sleep a lot. I'm gonna tell you, Wednesdays is my off day, right?
Mhm.
And the DSO, I just promised the DSO that I'm gonna let them do something at our building on Wednesdays now. And I'm sitting up like uh Wednesdays is my off days, and I'm really contemplating on whether I should tell the DSO no, because
Mhm.
now on the weekends, I'm good with like not going nowhere on the weekends. I get in my pajamas and I'm like, yep, the house clean, everybody's safe, the building's closed down. I'm gonna sleep, I'm gonna enjoy, I'm gonna catch up on something. So I do that. Um, the other thing is writing. I write a lot. Um, when I know something's festering in me or bothering me, to write it out helps me. It's kind of therapeutic. I've been doing that since I was about 15. And then I'll share it. I'll share it largely. I stopped doing a lot of the conversations where um you have people who's like, come talk to us. I love to talk. I don't want to do a lot of talking.
Right.
I don't want to do it. Now I talk a whole lot right here, right now, right? Because we're communicating, right? But
Yes, ma'am.
when I'm in these spaces, I be sitting back like, yeah, I'm ready to go home and go to sleep. I'm ready to go home and go to sleep.
Right. Yes.
We done talked a
Yes.
whole lot about the same thing, and this world ain't trying to change. So I do enough action. Help me, let me
Yes.
prepare some parents. That's another thing that's therapeutic for me too. I mean, it sounds weird because it is work, but preparing parents to do the work because I recognize that like I'm one person. And if I'm the smartest man in the room just got dumb because I can't be the smartest person in the space. I can't be the only person with ideas in the space,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. I like that. That matters. Speaking and empowering others empowers you. I could feel that totally.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Miss Benita, before I let you go, one, where do we find you?
Yep. So Bernita Nini Bradley on all social media or The Girl in the Alley. I have a book called The Girl in the Alley.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
um, but Engage Detroit on Facebook. I'm very rarely on our what's that? Twitter. I'm very rarely on there, but we're there. But when you go to our Facebook page, you can pull up and go to our website. And my phone number's there. Don't y'all call me a whole lot. I love y'all. Don't call
Hey,
me.
she said no Wednesdays, okay? Don't call her
Right,
on
no
Wednesday.
Wednesdays and no Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah, yeah, they can call. And people usually are shocked that I answer like a regular phone. They're like, is this engagement? I'm like, oh yeah, this is my cell phone, baby. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, right. I know. I feel like that's what people be like. This Jay? Like, it's like I didn't expect to
Right,
get you. It's like,
right. I
where
thought
you
it was
gonna
gonna
get
be a
me? Right?
secretary. Are you
You
traveling
know.
around the world? You
You know.
Oprah. What
You
the
know.
heck? Where is
It's me.
Gail? Like,
I need her. I
like,
need her.
no,
Where
it's
is
just me
she?
right now. When I get
Right?
Gail money, I'll be able to have an assistant.
That part. That part. Yes. All right. So before I let you go, three things that you want people to leave this conversation with. If you don't hear nothing else, three things that I need you to leave with are.
Yeah, that our systems are no better than the education we give our most marginalized children. There's nothing we can do in this world to make it a better place if we are not thinking about education for our children. Um, you have the answer to anything that ails you. If it hurt you, the very same hurt and experiences that you've had, use that to fuel to make sure nobody else gets hurt. Like don't feel crippled by that hurt. If your children weren't educated properly, or even if it don't got something to do with your children in education, whatever it is, there's plenty of people who have found passion and found like billion-dollar corporations off of this hurt me, and I ended up saying I'm gonna do something about it. Um, the last thing I will say is first, do no harm. First, do no harm. That goes to every human being on this planet. If what you are doing is suggestive of in any way of doing harm to others, don't do it. Don't do it. No matter what the situation is, no matter because we live in a time when people are afraid of harm and people are harming people willingly. So if we get into the frame of mind of first do no harm before you make any action steps, then Ask yourself that question of what I'm doing harm somebody, then don't do it.
Yes, yes. Because hurt people hurt people. I tell people that heal from your
But
trauma so that you don't pass it on to no one else.
now can I rebuttal you there?
Yes.
I don't agree with hurt people.
Really?
Hurt
Okay,
people
tell me.
heal people.
Okay.
People who have been hurt are the very people who have the power to heal people. And I know so many people. I'm one. Like the everything that hurts me, that has hurt me, I have tried to utilize that to help and heal somebody. When we had a frame of mind that hurt people, we assume that people hurting people is intentional. They
Oh
just don't
no.
understand yet that they have the power to heal.
And that's what I was gonna say. Did your healing that the fact that you were hurt and then you were able to use that hurt to heal, did you heal you first?
On the journey.
Okay.
Helping to heal people is a part of the healing process.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Look, I accept your rebuttal. I accept it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Parents. Like I love this because of so many things. One, remember that you can advocate for your children. Remember that those spaces, those classrooms, those schools, you are allowed in that space. Do not think that you cannot go in that building and advocate and use your voice and research for your child. So make sure that you are doing the research, learning those school policies, learning those school handbooks, so that you're able to go in there and know what it is that you're asking for your child and get it for your child because you can do that. And also, if there's not the community that you need in your area, build it. Build it, build it, build it, because someone else is looking for it. Maybe hundreds of others. Look, as Miss Bernita has pointed out, okay? So know that, understand that, but definitely reach out for support if you need help in learning how to build that community out. Miss Bernita says she got you. So reach out and understand that this is not a journey you have to do alone, no matter what avenue you're taking. It is not a journey you have to do alone. Find your village because they are out there waiting and ready to support you as well as gain support from you. So, homeschool your kids.